Hello, good morning, and warmest welcome to yet another edition of the program Closeflow here on NT2 Lagos Network Center. It's ever and always our pleasure asking you to join us at the table as we continue to search for what makes up the Nigerian dream. This morning again, we continue our search. This time we are looking at one of the critical elements of how to be a truly human, and that's about how we manage our health resources, or how healthy we are as a nation, or how we respond to health issues within our environment, particularly now that we have some critical questions on the table concerning public health. However, our focus this morning will not be on what is prevalent, what is the incidences of Ebola, outbreaks in the West African region. We are looking at a closely related health matter that occupied global attention for almost a decade. And so how far have we dealt with that as a nation? Has it negatively impacted on Nigeria, or can we give ourselves some pass mark in the way we have managed that issue? And what are we talking about this morning? Today we are looking at enhancing Nigeria's response to HIV and AIDS. Is that a current issue? Should we be bothered about that? Or Nigerians have suddenly woken up and forgotten about HIV/AIDS because Ebola seems to be knocking at the window? These are some of the questions we'll be dealing with this morning, and our guest is no less a competent person to handle this matter. She has a background in sociology and anthropology from one of Nigeria's famous universities, as Obafemi Awolowo University in Ife. She is also the state program officer for ENR, working with Society for Family Health on that issue. So she's here in the studio to speak with us. So our pleasure to welcome on your behalf Foluke Omoworare to Closeflow. You're welcome to Closeflow.
Thank you. I'm actually the state program manager.
Okay, the state program manager for
ENR.
Okay, all right. So let's start with that.
Okay.
Since you're the program manager, you must be able to tell us exactly what is ENR, how is it funded, what is it doing, how long have you actually started this journey?
Okay. Thank you very much. ENR is the Enhancing Nigerian Response to HIV and AIDS. So the acronym is what you hear about, ENR. And ENR is a 6-year program funded by the British Department for International Development, popularly known as DFID. And our 6 years terminates at the end of 2014, that is 31st December 2014. We are hoping for an extension, and we sure believe we'll have an extension, but we can't talk about that now. Now, what do we do as a program? The ENR is a consortium. It's not an organization, it's a consortium program headed in Nigeria by the Society for Family Health. And then we have other partners on the program. We have the Benguela Foundation, we have the ActionAid Nigeria, we have the Options Consultancy UK, we have the Crown Agents, and then we also have the BBC Media Action. So all of these partners bring various expertise to fore when it comes to enhancing the response to HIV and AIDS.
Now, I like the way you have described that. Seems to be multi-sectoral.
Yes, it is.
Now. Well, but I'm a little bit worried that we seem to have preponderance of foreigners, contributing to this consortium. Why is that so?
Well, they are not foreigners. Some of this, like the BBC Media Action, maybe because of BBC you think it's all about the British. No, because we have local people, local elements who are working on that program here in Nigeria. Even for the Options Consultancy UK, for the Crown Agent, all their staff on this program are Nigerians. So we are talking about people who know about the situation of HIV
in Nigeria.
Yes, and can respond to it.
Okay, I'd just like to get our viewers to empathize, or to have a little bit of insight into what we are discussing here. If my producer is ready, maybe we can run that short clip to see if Nigerians are part of this process or not. Are we ready to do that? Can we run the clip? Thank you very much. If we can have that clip, then we can come back and discuss with Foluke in the studio.
I will make you fishers of men, fishers of men, fishers of men. I will make you fishers of men if you follow me.
HIV and AIDS is a serious issue in Nigeria. An estimated 220 people die each year of HIV and AIDS in the country. Young people between age 25 and 29 have the highest prevalence rate. Stakeholders, AIDS control agencies, civil society organizations, foreign donors, and media organizations have taken a bold step to fight the disease headlong.
Well, you saw that clip there. I'm sure some of you got some bit of information from there. Over 200 every year dying from HIV/AIDS. Are you serious? That is that bad?
Well, the situation we have now has improved tremendously. Like, we have the usual National AIDS and Reproductive Health Survey.
Okay.
The last one that was conducted puts Lagos State at 2.2% prevalence, coming from 5% where we were.
2.2.
Yes.
So that's good news.
That's good news for us.
It's coming down.
It's coming down. And kudos to the principal actors in this field, working across the country and specifically working in the area of HIV and AIDS. However, we still have some level of issue with stigma and discrimination. People still discriminate against those who are already infected with HIV and AIDS, and even those who are related to them. We have like a high percentage of people who still discriminate, and what we need to do is to educate the public, and here now we have been trying to do that a lot through the media. Most of the radio stations in Lagos will air programs on stigma and discrimination reduction and HIV and AIDS knowledge. Another issue that came from the NAS 2012 survey is that we all assume that knowledge is high when it comes to HIV and AIDS. At least you assume that the next person close to you knows that if you share sharp objects, you can contact HIV and AIDS. If you have sexual intercourse with somebody that is not known to you without a condom, you can contact HIV. But then that survey shows us that the knowledge is not as high as we think. So we need to do something about knowledge. So for us in ENR, you saw us branding some BRT buses with knowledge,
posters, yes,
knowledge information and stigma and discrimination reduction information. We go on the media, and across the states we have people that we call interpersonal communication conductors, 297 of them in number.
Across the country or in the states? Okay.
We have in 8 states.
Right now?
Right now.
Would that be a pilot program, or is this something that is going to go around the whole country?
No, because ENR is only focused on 8 states.
For now?
For now. Lagos is one of the states. We have Enugu State, we have Nasarawa State, we have Cross River, we have Akwa Ibom, and we have Ogun State.
Okay, we'll come back to the state selection later, the reasons for that. But let's quickly, I like the clip, and I saw the almost pedestrian way the coordinator was trying to reach out to those who are attending. What program was that?
For me, that program, because that program is really not an ENR program, but it's actually the training of peer educators. So
you train them to educate their peers?
Yes, this is a strategy that is commonly used among HIV and AIDS workers across the country. You train them so that they go out and educate their peers. And the earlier one I spoke about, the interpersonal communication conductors, are something like peer educators. They also go out, although they are not limited to their peers alone, because when they go to the market, they meet other people that are older than them.
Now, when you say interpersonal, communication coordinators, do you hire them to do this, or they volunteer to do this? And then how do you equip them to pass on the information? Is there a mechanism to monitor what they are doing, the information they are passing out, and how people are responding to some of the things they're sharing with them?
Yeah. It's actually a strategy adopted by the ENR, And what we do is that we train them in disseminating information, because it's not everybody that can disseminate information rightly,
Appropriately, yes.
appropriately. So we train them in basic elements of communication. We train them how to manage themselves within heterogeneous groups, and we equip them also. We equip them with what we call MIS form, Management Information System forms. So they use this to gather the data on the field, and then they report back to us. And then apart from that, we have also trained some of them as HIV counselor testers. So while they are disseminating information, some group of them have their tents established somewhere in the small market, in the street corners, and after the information is that if you would like to get tested, we have our people down there.
Nicely, they would nicely invite somebody.
They would nicely invite somebody. Okay. So by that, we have been able to increase the number of people getting tested for HIV and AIDS.
Now, the back end of this would be the question of stigmatization that is persistent. Is that a cultural thing? Do you think it's a culture? You read sociology and anthropology, so do you think it's a cast? It's a flip back to a cultural or traditional issue?
Well, some elements of culture is there.
It's buried in there somewhere.
It's buried in there somewhere. Because when it comes to sexual issues, sexual relations, it is believed in our culture, around here we are mostly Yorubas, it is believed that if you can't get infected with such diseases like HIV and AIDS, probably you might have been promiscuous, probably you are bad. But we are trying to collect the notion that that is very wrong.
Case, yes.
It's very wrong, because you can also get infected through other means. And we know people that are not infected who have actually taken steps that these other ones have taken, but somehow they didn't get infected. So we tell people, but culture-wise, people still feel that, well, we should let them stay on their own. If they have gone ahead to do this, then they should suffer for it. But we're trying as much as possible using the media, because the media has helped us greatly.
Now, that is one area that many people don't seem to want to go to bank with. The question of how the media has been helpful, particularly if we just cast our mind back. I'm just going to draw this as an inference, not necessarily to reflect on what you have done at ENR. That is talking about the Ebola outbreak and the way the media initially seemed to have helped some people, to spread the fear and the terror of what Ebola is all about. So how do you place the media vis-a-vis that and what you're doing with ENR?
Well, I think the media, when it comes to the issue of Ebola, I think the media helped when this whole thing started. They were able to spread the information. They were able to tell people the needed things they need to know. Initially, it was all about fear. Even people wanted to stay at home. They didn't want to come out. It was all about fear. But by the time we got to know the basic things we needed to know about Ebola, you need to your frequent hand washing, avoid unnecessary body contact with people who are seriously sick and down with it. So when we got to know this, the media helped us. We had confidence again to relate with ourselves. I think the media did a great job when it comes to Ebola, but I think as people within the communities, we still need to do a lot of things when it comes to Ebola. It is a public health issue also.
Now, so we are back to where we are.
Okay.
When HIV/AIDS also broke, it was a critical public health issue. Now, the question would be, do we have well-informed response dealing with public health matters, especially in our environment here? I'm not talking of foreign countries. I'm talking specifically about Nigeria, and maybe you should look at Lagos, where you are, holding the fort at the moment. Do you think we have the right disposition to dealing with public health matters?
Well, I wouldn't completely condemn the situation. We're going somewhere. We're somewhere, but we can still improve on what we have. For instance, the situation on ground when it comes to Ebola calls for action of every individual. But some individuals are leaving it in the hands of corporations, in the hands of agencies, in the hands of the government. Like, I would give a personal example. Like, we had a workshop some weeks back when this issue of Ebola came up. And at that workshop, I noticed something. Almost every participant had sanitizers in front of them on their desk. So by the time they move out, they shake somebody, they come out
back
to their desk, they use their sanitizer. And a week ago, we had another workshop. The story was no longer like that.
The sanitizers have disappeared.
The sanitizers have disappeared. And people were, it was like, okay, it's in my bag, I could use it, you know. We need to develop the conscious effort when it comes to public health, because public health, we know government is at the forefront, but you cannot overrule the what individuals also have to do to protect people around them and to protect themselves.
Well, I hope you can say that again to our viewers to let them also know how critical that is. But now, looking at ENR now, enhancing the capacity of Nigerians to respond. So what has been the greatest challenge besides stigmatization? What else again has been a critical issue for you on the field?
Okay. On the field, apart from stigmatization, which we are trying to manage, another issue that reared up its head, I will always refer to the NAS survey, the last one conducted in 2012, is the condom usage. Accessibility to condom is very high everywhere you go. In fact, in Society for Family Health, we have what we call selling of condoms through non-traditional outlets. So the malam at the street corner is likely to have a gold circle condom, and then you can just go there and buy.
Pick up.
But that is accessibility. But when it comes to usage, the NAS also shows that the usage is not commensurate with the accessibility. So is it that people get condoms and they don't use, but still we are here, we need to tell people that one sure way to protect yourself and to protect others from HIV and AIDS infection is the use of condoms.
That is if you cannot abstain from sex.
Yes, if you cannot abstain from sex.
Otherwise, abstinence will have been the first thing.
Oh yes, abstinence is the first thing. Then be faithful to your partner. You are married, stay faithful to your wife, stay faithful
to your husband.
And then the third one, which we don't deceive ourselves and we always propagate, is the condom usage.
Okay, now in the clip that we saw, we seem to have a captive, as it were, group, prevalent group where HIV/AIDS will probably be frequently, contracted, 18 and above, 1825, 1824. That will necessarily put it within the university environment. So, do we have a program by ENR addressing how the university community, especially university students, responds to HIV?
Yes, we are always working among them. Some weeks back, we were through the Ministry of Women Affairs, we worked with the School of Agriculture, and we were able to we were able to disseminate information to the students on how to protect themselves on HIV and AIDS. Apart from that, we carry out different activities among the university environment, even the secondary schools. We are creating awareness all the time because we know that the prevalence is high among the youth, and if nothing is done, we don't want to think of what will happen in the future, because if nothing is done in that age group, that could be a very catastrophic in the future. So we are working among the university students. In fact, some of them have been trained as peer educators. They also have social clubs within them in the school. They have different social groups. We buy into these social groups to train them. So we buy into these JCs, all of them, they are all over the place. So we buy into the social groups in the community, in the university community, to train them. So when we train them, we leave them to disseminate information among their peers. And disseminating information in the school environment is not a difficult thing. In the lecture room, you are seated with someone, you can just start a chat or a discussion. And that's how we have been doing it.
Okay, let me come back to how difficult this must have been. Funding is foreign. Funding is not local. Why is that?
Well, funding is foreign for ENR because the money is available with the British government, and we saw it as an opportunity. And the consortium partners in ENR, they came together to develop a proposal to access that fund. So for now, like I told you, the program ends by December.
But this phase of it, you are hoping that this can Yes.
But something we are doing is to ensure that indigenous organizations, our own people, bring out money to fight public health
buy
issues,
into this.
to buy into the public health issues, not even only HIV and AIDS. So you saw us here now last week. We were somewhere in Lekki training people on resource mobilization. I mean, local resource mobilization. How can you key into a philanthropist? How can you key into groups within the country? What can you do with private organizations? Banks are everywhere. We have a lot of big organizations that can fund us. So we are there training people in resource mobilization, so that even if DFID continues to fund, or if DFID stops, or
this
USAID
program
stops,
can be sustained.
all this program and many more development programs in the area of addressing public health issues will be sustained, because public health is a continuous thing.
I like that. That seemed really commendable, the way you passionately explain the fact that you're now trying to get resources from local. Now, but can we begin to look at numbers? How many lives, or how many, what will be the numbers for you to deal with that you have been able to? 6 years, we should have a mechanism to let us know, okay, we have impacted this number of persons, we have trained this number of resource persons, we have conducted this number of, these are the projections we are having if we are going to continue to create this intervention, across the board. So what kind of numbers are we dealing with here?
Okay, specifically I might not be able to
Yes, but not give us a broad overview.
But we have reached a lot of people across our 8 states, and specifically in Lagos State. We have actually been able to disseminate information to millions of people. Our IPC conductors are always in the field. 3 times a week they are in the field. We are talking about 297 people disseminating information 3 times a week. Apart from that, we have drama groups in some of our local governments. The drama groups also work every week to disseminate information.
In those local communities?
In those local communities. So they are community-based drama group. So they work within small settings within the community, but they are constantly disseminating information. And we're also talking about multiple impacts of the information. So I am a mother, I'm in the market selling, I got this information, I'll get home, I'll talk to my husband, I'll talk to the people around. So we're looking about how that has spread. So we're talking of millions of people that we have reached.
I like that though. But somehow I always like to look at the flip side of all these stories. Have you had reasons to experience conflict at community level, where your resource persons have gone to some communities and they've had challenges about what they want to do, the information they are passing across? Have you had community conflicts?
Well, for us, we've not had such. Because you know why we've not had such? Because the process of engaging the community is very detailed. You don't just go into a community and begin to do your programs. These communities have gatekeepers, they have stakeholders, so we always go through them. So you find us, for instance, we go through the chiefs, the local chiefs, the religious leaders, they are with us, the Market Women Association, they are with us. So before you can get into a community, these people know that you are coming, they know that you are around. In fact, they would have created an enabling environment for us.
Now, you can say that for Lagos, but can you say that across the country?
Yes, because ENR employs the same strategy across the board. 8 states. Yes.
Now, I want to come back to this question of the modalities for the 8 states. Why 8 states when we have 36 states in the country?
Okay.
Why? What informed that choice, or the choices?
As at the time the ENR program was coming into Nigeria, we have a NAS survey. So based on prevalence, Benue State was up, Cross River was up, all the other states. If you look at these states and you look at the prevalence chart as at then, it was following. And then Lagos State was also seen as a hub. So you have commercial activities, different people. If you neglect Lagos State in response in Nigeria, I don't know what's
going to happen to you. Yeah. Okay. Now, can we make this systemic? This need to pass information across, just like you said, multiple influence. You're a mother, you're a market person, and so you use the opportunity, therefore, to create, a cross, a cross border, as it were, information. So can we make this systemic?
Yes, we can, because we in ENR, we don't work in isolation. We look at existing structures in the state and we buy into the existing structure. And I will give you two very important examples. For instance, in the College of Health Technology in Lagos, they train community health extension workers who also go to the communities to disseminate information. We have bought into that, and we have imputed the IPC strategy, the interpersonal communication strategy, into the curriculum of the School of Health Technology. So every child that passes through the College of Health Technology is trained in the use of interpersonal communication. So when they go to the community, they disseminate this information rightly. And then the approach of IPC is such that when you disseminate information, the knowledge is retained, and the individual is able to go back and share the information with other people. We did that with the Ministry of Agric using the Agric Extension workers too.
Now, Foluke, I need to know from you, do you have any program where you can loop, as it were, from your coordinators to the end beneficiaries, so you can get a direct feedback, not a rooted mechanism of getting what is going on the street? Okay. I mean, do you have a street mechanism? Do you have something on the street that tells you, okay, you have been to that market, let's go and find out if those market women actually have assimilated the information passed on to them? Do you have any program like that?
Okay, are you looking at monitoring?
Not necessarily monitoring, but just trying to find a way to link directly, with the beneficiaries, the end beneficiaries.
Okay. What usually happens is that when our team, the IPC conductors, go out, like I told you, they go out 3 times a week. After like a month or two, our monitoring team from in-house, from the ENR, will now go out to those places. They have a schedule that they follow. So they give the schedule to the monitoring team. They don't have to be there. I mean, the IPC conductors don't have.
Yes.
So this monitoring team goes to the market, goes to the street corners where they said they have been. So they go back there and they talk to these people. Did you ever see these people? Okay, we saw them. So what did they tell you? So that's one way that we use to get across directly to the beneficiaries.
That's great, and I must commend you for doing that, because that is critical in our environment here, where people actually can, as it were, give you all sort of false or fake reports on what they have done. Now, another aspect of the HIV/AIDS stigmatization has been a question of gender. In the surveillance that you've seen, do you think women are unnecessarily being made to carry the brunt of this?
Well, gender issue is always very important when it comes to discussing issues within our context. So HIV has been said by some people to even wear a female face. That is, maybe is the females. Because most of the time, you know why that is? Because most of the time, the ANC survey, antenatal clinic survey, which is usually done to know the prevalence of HIV, that's another survey that is done apart from the NAS, is usually women that goes to the antenatal. So when a woman is pregnant, for an illiterate or a semi-illiterate couple, when a woman is pregnant and she goes to the antenatal and she got tested and she's positive, there is this likelihood for that man to say, because you were the first to test positive, probably you were the one that brought it into the family. So it's like that. And we're trying to correct that notion to ensure that women are not at the receiving end. Apart from that, when it comes to being infected with HIV, the women genitalia, I mean, the reproductive organs of the women predisposes them to easily getting infected with the HIV virus, because the female genitalia is exposed while the male genitalia is not.
Okay, all right. She's left a very critical point on the table there. We'll come back and see if this has any gender implication and what we can do to correct all the wrong notions that we have there. We'll take a short break, and I hope by the time we come back, all our viewers, you must have your questions ready. You just wait for the number on the screen, and we expect to receive from you your queries, your comments, or your questions. Stay with us. Don't go anywhere. Fuluka is here with us. Thank you.
Lagos Network Center, your reach out station.
Thank you for staying with us. So we are looking at enhancing Nigeria's response to HIV/AIDS. Fuluke has said so much. I think the last thing she said there actually touched me a bit, and I think I should just want to quickly go back to that. Now, so what do we do? Trying to make sure that our women don't become the scapegoat when we are dealing with issues like HIV/AIDS, and things like that. What can we really do?
Scapegoats as in?
Well, so if the woman is more prevalent to it, so it must be a woman thing and not a man. So how do we correct that?
Well, we have several measures on ground. For instance, the most popular condom known to people is the male condom. But we also have the female condoms.
No, you're not serious.
We do. We do have the female condom.
No, but there's no story about that anywhere.
The female condom is around. Probably because people are not ready to use it, because we have been promoting it.
That's another question of culture?
Probably. Because in our culture, it's unheard of that a woman comes up in a relationship and says,
I want
if
to
you
wear,
didn't
I
come
want to
with
wear a
your-
condom.
if
I'll
you-
wear mine.
I'll wear mine. So people shy away from that, and the usage of the female condom is so low. But I can tell you that the female condom is available for females to also use.
But are the females getting proper information about this? Are they properly educated? Is there any awareness to this?
In Society for Family Health, this awareness is ongoing within the communities. In fact, the sale of the condom is also done at the non-traditional outlets that I earlier spoke to.
But don't you think that this will have the usual, as it were, reverberation when so now the girl can wear a condom, therefore she becomes more promiscuous?
Well, I don't think so. Because condom is used for several things. Condom is used for family planning, is used for the protection of STIs, and then HIV came. We started using it for the protection of HIV. So condom was not first made to protect HIV. It has been in existence to do a lot of other things like family planning and all the rest. So I think condom is there for, as human beings, we should have choices. We should have choices. So if you are a man, you should have a choice. And you, as an adult anyway, should be responsible for your actions. So if you have a choice and you decide to make a choice, you should be responsible for that action. So
The
as
consequences.
a woman, exactly. So as a woman also, you should have choices. You should not, the life of a woman should not hang on the decision of that man. So if that man decides not to use a condom, the woman is
Should not be hell bent.
exactly.
Okay, now, but any medical challenge or any medical defects to the use of condom for the woman?
I wouldn't know of any.
I like that. So that people don't come back and say, you have used condom, you cannot get pregnant.
No.
There shouldn't be anything like that.
There is nothing like that.
Okay, now let's look at the question of what is the scale of investment in HIV/AIDS prevention in this environment? Do you think we are doing sufficiently well?
I think government needs to do more. And like I spoke about local resources, I think resources have to come from within. Enough of depending on external donors. Enough of depending on foreign donors from the UK, from the US, wherever they're coming from. We need to show the world that we also
take care of ourselves.
We can take care of ourselves. Not long ago, we discovered that even the foreign donors, they are gradually
Reducing their commitment.
because they've been sponsoring HIV for years. Since HIV got into the country and we've been addressing the issue, it's been external funding. So now we need to know. And in ENR, actually carried out a survey. Is it a survey now? It's called, we call it SASA.
A little bit of research.
A little bit of research. SASA for state and NASA for national. NASA is National AIDS Spending Assessment. State is State AIDS Spending Assessment. That is how much came in for HIV.
Locally.
How much did you spend? No, how much came in generally, not only local.
Okay,
from
yes,
foreign, how much did you get? For instance, Lagos State, how much did we get from USAID, from DFID,
from that.
How much did we get? Then, how much did we spend? And what percentage of this is from local sources? It's low. Very low. So we still...
When you say low, how low? Less than 1%, less than 2%, less than 5%?
Well, something around that. I might not be able to give you the example, but it's actually...
That's dismal.
So we need our government to bring out more funds in addressing HIV and AIDS issue, because you see, right now, people are carried away with Ebola. Ebola is a public health issue and is equally
critical,
and we need to address it. But the issue about Ebola is that, Ebola is faster. When it comes to getting infected, getting sick, and dying is faster.
Whereas
you can see somebody with Ebola now, quarantine the person, and you can deal with it. But HIV is not like that. Because somebody can carry HIV for 10 years. And the person...
incubating it.
Oh, yes. For 10 years, is still there. And the worst case is that the person might not even know if he or she... That's why we encourage voluntary counseling and testing. Yes. Just wake up one day, enter
anywhere, any of the clinics,
and get tested. So HIV is more dangerous. For me, that's the way I see it.
Now, let's come back to the health workers themselves. Are we this training, this orientation, this information circulation that we're talking about? Are we doing enough to help health officials, deal with HIV/AIDS? Are they being trained appropriately to deal with the current issues on HIV/AIDS?
Yes, like I said in here now, we work in the communities. We work with civil society organizations. We work with the communities. Principally, we work with the Lagos State AIDS Control Agency to ensure a proper coordination of all the efforts in the state. But when it comes to working directly with the facilities and with the health workers, we have other development partners in the state
who are doing that.
And they have gone far in such.
Okay, now we come back to the growing up years. Do we have any intervention at school levels? I'm looking at secondary schools now. Do we have any intervention, any program, just like you have explained that you have for communities, dealing, reappraising how students begin to know how to take care of themselves, how to know that this is not just about government, but about the choices you're making? Do we have such programs?
Yes, we have. ENR works with the global fund aspect of the Society for Family Health. This global fund aspect works on the area of what we call the family life and health education. They work with the State Ministry of Education.
Family life and health. Family, I like that. So you under the umbrella of the family, you now deal with this. Yes. Okay.
So with the State Ministry of Education is actually championing this in Lagos State. We also we just work with them, provide technical support where we are needed. But principally, that's a huge program going on across Lagos State in the schools. There they provide information continually to the students, not directly but through the teachers. So when they train the teachers, FLHE is part of the curriculum. So the teachers go back and train the students, give them the necessary information. So they have students on what they are supposed to, they have information on what they are supposed to do as an individual, how they should see themselves, how they should comport themselves. If they decide to make a choice, the consequences of the choice is made known to them, and then they are encouraged as young ones in secondary school that abstinence is a key.
The flip side of that again will be the question of literacy across the country, especially amongst families. So do we have anything to help families who are probably less literate, where the child may have to retrain the mother or retrain the father who is not literate enough on some of the things that probably will have been passed on to the child in school? Do we have any program to help such families?
Well, ENR, we don't have such programs. But I know that on media, there are different programs in local languages, in local dialects, that illiterate parents can watch and get educated on all these issues.
Okay, what's the way forward for you now? If this expires by December, and DFID, turns down, the reason to continue with this, so what's the fallback position?
Well, ENR is not the only program working in the area of HIV and AIDS. We have the Lagos State AIDS Control Agency is there, and they have the capacity. They have the capacity to work to coordinate HIV and AIDS response. We have a lot of CSOs, civil society organizations, working in the area of HIV and AIDS. We have development partners still in the state working in this area. So ENR has been in operation for 6 years. So if at the end of 2014 ENR closes, I think we have done quite a lot in the state. We have built capacities. We have ensured the establishment of coordinating platforms. We have worked with ministries, departments, and agencies, strengthening them. We have conducted survey. That we can leave behind, and then people, ministries, departments, and agencies can pick up and conduct these surveys. We have done different things. We have what we call the OCA, Organizational Capacity Assessment, which we do every 2 years. So we have done this consecutively.
No, what does that do? What does OCA do?
OCA is to assess the capacity of an organization or an agency or a ministry to carry out HIV and AIDS work. So you do it intermittently. After 2 years, you carry out an assessment. Are we where we said we want to be? Do we have the capacity? Is there something lacking? If something is lacking, they go out through that OCA, they develop a capacity building plan. What do we need to address? What are the resources we need to put in place? This has helped. So if an organization is doing that continually for every 2 years or every 3 years, you are not likely to be found wanting in discharging your duties when it comes to public health or HIV and AIDS response.
Again, another response level will be from organized private sector.
Yeah.
So what are we doing about that? I don't know how many companies or how many organizations or how many institutions run information or educational programs for their staff on issue like this.
We have organizations that have HIV and AIDS workplace policy. We in ENR,
on paper or in reality?
In reality, and are using it for their staff. In ENR, recently, some weeks ago, we developed a state workplace policy, HIV and AIDS workplace policy. We are at the national, so we adapted for the state. So now what is left is for other organizations to buy into that and to take it up.
For instance, give me one example of what the workplace policy should be for HIV/AIDS in a place like NTA, for instance.
For instance, it depends on the organization, but one of the things there is information on HIV and AIDS should be available for staff and people. When you come in, just like you can find information on anything, it could be basic things about HIV and AIDS on your notice board. Then, opportunity for voluntary counseling and testing
should be available.
And
within the workplace.
Within the workplace. And if not within the workplace, there should be a linkage to an external. If not a standalone VCMA, HIV counseling and testing, it could be an integrated
like
with a particular health facility somewhere. So if that be the case, these are things that should be in the workplace, and organizations are practicing it. Apart from that, we also work with the NIBUCA. The NIBUCA is the Nigerian Business Coalition Against AIDS. So they also work, they are the principal agent working with the private sector to ensure that private sectors are up to task when it comes to their responsibilities in the area of HIV and AIDS. Because if an organization is good enough to hire people, and these people bring you profits and they do the work, you should be also able to take care of.
Okay, that is what should be the situation. But I know that would that be right for Nigerians to always feel so much pessimism when it comes to official response to the health needs of citizens? Should Nigerians be that pessimistic? Should they be? Is that a fair judgment, a fair reflection on what is coming from government, from policymakers?
that
Nigerians usually are very pessimistic. They're like, would that ever be done?
well, it's been done. It's only maybe the number of organizations where it's been done is not as much as we want, but it's been done. I don't want to mention names of organizations.
No, we don't need to do that. But
that
you know for a fact
Yeah.
that is being done.
That is being done.
So therefore, your appeal will be for Nigerians. So if you're working anywhere, see if you have such information in your
Yes.
workplace.
And if you don't have, there's a way to appeal to the management. There you can come together and then tell the management this is needed based on what we have observed.
Okay. We are still waiting. I'm not sure if my producers, if you have had any questions or comment from our viewers, you can help us run that telephone line again and let us see if we can get some response to what Fuluke is saying here. Now, but how can we help to get across to the next generation on what we need to do so that we put an end to this? I mean, we don't have to live with HIV/AIDS for eternity. So what do we need to do to make sure that we ensure that the next generation will not have to deal with HIV/AIDS?
Yeah. Information. Dissemination of information is what we need to do. And that's what we have been doing. And even at the very junior level, at the junior school, you can still pass across information. Only you filter your information. You know the type of information
you're
you
going to
pass
give to
across
them.
to them. Because it's very important that everybody, no matter your age, you should have information about reproductive health issues. Not only HIV and AIDS. At your level, a 3-year-old will ask you a question. The
And
way
you must
you will
be able
answer,
to,
you
yes.
must be able to answer based on his own age, and he will be satisfied and go his way. But when it comes to the adult, you know how you answer. So we need to pass across right age-specific information is what we are talking about, and you cannot overemphasize that.
As a sociologist, so how do you look at the profile of HIV/AIDS in this environment? How do you? What is your reaction? Your first reaction? You gave us just one succinct example. When Ebola first came, sanitizers everywhere on the table. 2 weeks down the line, sanitizers are now in the bag. Maybe 4 weeks down the line, there won't be any more sanitizers.
Yeah.
So how do you profile it?
Well, for me, like you said, when HIV and AIDS first came, it was everybody was scared. It was like, oh, in fact, it was tagged a death sentence. Gradually, we got to know it's not a death sentence. That all you need to know is to do your test on time and then get to know whether you have it. If you have it, you move to the next level, which is the care and treatment. And then gradually, people became aware of all these things. And to a very large extent, although we are not satisfied yet, people offer themselves voluntarily to
be
test.
tested.
To be tested. So they offer themselves voluntarily. That's one stage. The next stage is that now, when you have people who wants to get married, even the churches and the mosque, they are making it mandatory. So that's another level. So if you don't want to do the test, they will help you to ensure you do the test. That's another
That's
thing.
a plus.
Yeah, that's a plus. Then this workplace issue is also another. So awareness is being created right now at this stage. At this stage where we are, people are no longer scared of HIV like they used to be. They are no longer, because they know if I go for an HIV test and I'm discovered to be HIV positive, it's about management. It's just like maybe you are managing hypertension or something. It's about management and strict adherence to drug regimen.
Okay, let's look at how we can deliver this across the country. If this terminates in December, how can we roll it to other states? Because I'm sure your survey will have shown you the prevalence. Of course, Lagos State is dropped from 5% to 2.2%. So I'm sure maybe in other states the same thing, whereas some might have gone up. So how do we roll this from here to other states in the country?
And that's where our government comes in.
Beautiful.
I cannot tell you categorically that DFID will continue to provide the money. They might want to continue to provide the money, I don't know. But
So irrespective of that,
the people I can hold on to is my own people, my own government. That's where the government comes in. We have demonstrated what we can do in 8 states. Do the government see what we have done as good? If they see it as best practices, the best practices informs activities in other areas. So if it is good, then let us replicate it. Let the government bring out the resources, not only money, material resources.
Yes,
all
yes.
the resources
Everything is on
needed.
money.
Let them bring it and let's replicate it in other states.
But from the survey that you've had, can you give us a national profile of what we're dealing with here in terms of HIV/AIDS? Do we have a national profile?
Yeah, because like I said, just as it is in Lagos State, the awareness is higher. Health workers are even their attitude to people living with HIV and has
Changed.
before. If you go for a test in a facility and you are discovered to be HIV positive, you will know before they give you the results, because the health workers, there is a way they will be behaving. You know, we've had such complaints from people, but health workers have changed. They have improved in their attitude, in the way they relate with people who are HIV positive. So for me, that's some level for us. And apart from that, we all know that at the national level, we have the NASCAP. That's the National AIDS, the unit of the Ministry of Health that responds to HIV and AIDS. So also we have at state level. So these are landmarks to show us that
This is where we are going.
This is where we are going.
All right. It's been a wonderful experience for you at ENR. But as a person and as a mother, as a wife, as a Nigerian, what are your grave concerns about how we deal with public health issues?
Like I said before, my grave concern is that as individuals in this country, public health issue is something that requires concerted effort, but we find us leaving it in the hands of government and our leaders. Government should be responsive, yes, and they carry the higher responsibility, but public health issues, we should address it also as individuals in our various houses. In our various houses, in the places where we work, we should ensure that people's people are protected. So public health issue is all over the place, in the environment, in the marketplaces. We still have dirty markets. We still have places that are dirty, and we're talking about Ebola. We know that these are things that can
affect our public health.
So when it comes to public health, we need to take proactive response as individuals.
All right. What will be your last word on the Closeflow before you leave? You want to come back next year as the Lagos manager of ENR, or would you rather move on to something else?
Let's leave that for now. But my last word is that everybody should be responsible for their own health. Public, personal, whatever. Make sure you are responsible for yourself, for your immediate environment. If we can ensure good public health initiatives in our environment, if you can do it, I can do it, every other person does it, then we will have a free environment where people can operate and relate well.
Is it possible for somebody to want to reach you on this issue, probably from an organization or from a community? Maybe they need some help or some assistance. Would they be able to reach you? Maybe ENR or something?
Yeah,
Do you have a site
I can give you our office address.
Okay.
Our office address is 2B Oyetola Street, off Salvation Road.
Okay.
Okpebi.
You can run that again so that our viewers can pick it up.
Okay. 2B Oyetola Street, off Salvation Road, Okpebi, Ikeja. So when you get to that place, the whole building is the Society for Family Health building. But there you also have the Enhancing Nigerian Response to HIV and AIDS Program office.
So you said again, 2B
Oyetola Street, off Salvation Road, Okpebi, Ikeja.
All right. Well, our viewers, I hope you got that information. If any of you, because we didn't receive any call or any text message, so I'm just saying that, for those who probably are a little bit hesitant trying to come on screen to say they have an issue on HIV/AIDS, go to that address and see if you can get more information from our guest here. We want to thank you again for coming to speak with us, Fuluke. It's been a pleasure with all the information you have passed on to us. I do hope we can find a way to recycle this information everywhere, as we go along. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you.
And for our viewers, the conversation, of course, will continue on www.nta2lagos.com or www.youtube.com/NTA to Lagos. Search for Conversation with Foluke on Closeflow. Thank you for watching and have to yourself a great day. Bye for now.